So I've been up all day, and then I had to work late, and then I had to watch the debate on delay. So you'll forgive me if I'm filming this in a way that might not get out till later because I might fall asleep in the middle of this video. So this is my very tired response to the vice presidential candidate debate between Tim Walz and JD Vance on October 1st, 2024. Had to watch it after everybody else had already watched it because I had to wait till I was done working. And, then I had to push rewind and hold it down and for hours because you can't see a rewind on some of the streaming services. It'll say, it'll be locked and it'll say, go to the live view. And it's like, fuck, I can't see it on the live view because it's already over. And so you had to just go to a YouTube stream and then it's still live, but you gotta like back up for like hours, because I guess contractually they don't allow it to be like restreamed from the beginning until like everyone's through with their own take on it. So I backed it up. It was like 2.5 hours. I had to back up and then figure out where to hit play. And then the debate started. And now, mind you, I'm already tired, right? And then Tim Walz, he starts talking. And what I'm hearing is fundamental. This is fundamental. And also this whole thing over here is fundamental. It's fundamental. And I was like, oh God, this is not going to be good for him. Because already, like, I could see the Saturday Night Live skit. Fundamental. Okay. Not good. Then, it was JD Vance's turn, and instead of like answering the question at first, he's all like, well, let me just introduce myself first. And just like right from the get-go, he is breaking the rules and just like, instead of answering the question, he's just gonna say whatever he wants to say. And he does his introduction, and then he only has a little bit of time to actually answer the question. And he says, the answer to all the war in the whole world is that people around the world were afraid of Trump. And that's the answer, is like, vote Trump in, and then people will be afraid of Trump, and then wars will go away. And in that moment, I was really hoping, because I guess I'm more of a go for the jugular type person. I was hoping that Tim Walz would just turn over to JD Vance and say, there's a difference between fear and respect, right? And some of you are going to like brush over me saying that, but holy fuck, I wholeheartedly mean that in a way that this camera is not going to catch when I'm this tired. But there is a difference between fear and respect, and people who think that the way to get people to respect them is to make them fear them are at best just weak men, but at worst they are tyrants. So remember that. Like, I mean that deeply. Walz should have told him there's a difference between fear and respect. And then I'm watching the debate. It's actually going pretty smoothly compared to everything that I've been used to with Trump involved in it over the past years. Then there's a moment that I'm sure will be talked about for a while where J.D. Vance is like, well, if you guys are going to break the rules, then I'll just talk some more. Because you guys are fact-checking me, and the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact-check. So let me just explain to you what's wrong about what you're fact-checking. And I felt like what he said next about how it's very easy for people to get that status of being able to be legally here. I felt like he made his point, but here tired me out here right now. Listen to Mr. Tired. A couple videos ago on my channel, I said, I understand why the shooter tried to shoot Trump, right? And I'm talking about like now, I guess 2 attempts ago, because there was another one. But the reason why was because of the lack of decorum and people feeling like there are no rules anymore and breaking the rules. Now, I will say, bad on the CBS team for setting up these rules and having the participants agree to no fact checking, and then saying at the beginning no fact checking, and then fact checking. That bad on them. But when J.D. Vance saw, oh, well, the rules are being broken, so I'm going to break the rules some more. This is the world we live in now, where people feel like none of the rules apply. And if you see somebody breaking the rules, then you can break the rules. And the person who tried to shoot Trump saw that Trump did some pretty heinous things and is probably going to get away with it. He's probably going to be golfing at Mar-a-Lago for the rest of his life. And the shooter was probably pissed off about that he could break the rules so heinously and not have any justice come to him. And so the shooter's like, you know what? Well, I'm going to break the rules, right? This is a fundamental problem that we have in America right now, is that people are breaking the rules. You know what? Earlier today, when I wasn't tired, I was talking about venture capitalists, like they were in the debate, venture capitalists. I was calling them vulture capitalists, and how in startup speak, they like to call themselves disruptors, right? Like how Uber disrupted every place it went and just broke rules, and now they have the lion's share of the marketplace for taxi companies. And now, does anybody think that it's a smart idea to start up a small taxi company? No, we have one Coke brand taxi company with Uber, and then the Pepsi one is Lyft. And it would be a very stupid idea to try to start a small taxi company anymore, right? Because this vulture capitalist company disrupted everything, created like a duopoly, an almost monopoly of rideshare. And breaking rules. Lime scooters, sprinkle them all over the fucking city. Don't even fucking ask for permission. Disrupt, break rules, and then you're gonna win, right? BetterHelp, fucking disrupting private practices and fucking making everyone think that therapy is almost fucking dirt cheap. And yeah, making promises about therapy that aren't even fucking ethical, and then expecting the therapist to fucking comply with those things when they disrupt markets. Everyone fucking breaking rules, right? BetterHelp fucking saying that they'll give therapy to the people of Israel for what happened on October 7th, and then doing nothing for Palestine and taking sides in it, and then BetterHelp therapists probably showing up to work and having to explain to their clients why the company they work for is pro-Israel, and half their clients probably like not being cool with doing therapy under like a politicized platform, and also going to someplace other than Starbucks to buy their coffee. Fucking breaking the rules, none of that should be a fucking conversation in therapy anyway. But like, y'all get what I'm saying? People think that if they see rule breaking, that they can then break rules. That's where we're at. All right, I'm fucking tired. I'll say that most of the debate was civil, though, right? Like, Trump is like bull in a china shop with debate rules, right? J.D. Vance, for the most part, was civil, and so was Tim Walz. And they did like a handshake. There was a lot of them saying that they agree with the other person. Nice. There was a moment where Tim Walz was waffling about the answer of like where he was when the Tiananmen Square protest was happening, and then he was like, "I'm a knucklehead," and I'm like, "Well, vote for me. I'm a knucklehead." That I thought was a bit of too much waffling. It didn't look good. He should have just said, "You know what? I had a little bit of brain fart about what happened when, because it was like a whole lifetime ago. So, like, cut me some slack, right? Like, I got the order of events confused. It's a human thing, right? See how short it was that I said that? Tim Walz is waffling and crawfishing away from the question before just saying, "I'm a knucklehead." Oh my God. Did not look good. It didn't look good. And then later on, he, like, I don't know if you guys heard this, but he says, "I'm friends with school shooters." he meant that he was friends with school shooting victims or survivors or whatnot, but like he did not mean "I'm friends with school shooters," but like it was an incredible gaffe. They didn't make too like JD Vance didn't like pounce on that one, but yeah, it wasn't a good point. There was a point where JD Vance was like talking to Walz and like, "Oh, you like to listen to the experts." Well, the experts said that it was good for the country to put jobs overseas and our manufacturing overseas. And here's the thing. When he's saying that, I was like, what fucking experts ever said any of that? You know who did say that? Fucking greedy CEOs of corporations. That's who said outsource the jobs to other countries where we could get cheaper labor and cheaper products. Like, that wasn't an expert on what's good for our economy. That was just greedy corporations. So yeah, I JD Vance sounded good when he said it. He sounded confident in what he was saying, but no, that was complete bullshit. So there's this thing about JD Vance and him sounding good, right? I really want to make this point here so that you all understand. Like, I just worked all day as a fucking therapist. And I'm listening, like, all week to all my clients, some of whom have left abusive relationships, right? Some of them are battered women. Some of them are actually battered men. It happens, right? So when I hear JD Vance say that the problem with America on the topic of abortion is that Republicans, we need to gain back trust on this issue. Trust was broken, and we need to get back to a space of trust. And then later, JD Vance is like, people have cast aside lifelong friendships, and that's a threat to democracy, you know? And then later in the debate, he's like, let's reject censorship and get back to debating each other and not censoring, and we need to get back to debate. Okay, so in all of those things, all of them, there's a recognition that something was hurt about the relationship, right? Him saying that we need to get the trust back. You can't just have this relationship that's been so long, these lifelong friendships, and then just cast them away. The friendship is too valuable for you to not come back to talk to me. Yeah, that it's a threat, and let's, you know, reject this principle that you have that there's some things that need to be kept from being said in our relationship, and let's come back and talk once again and debate each other. All of these things sound like the shit my clients tell me about their abusers, about how they break trust with people and then expect you to trust them once again, about how they say that, oh, we've been together for so long, you can't just throw it away over this little thing. That's an affront to all civilization. You know, when you have a friendship, you need to come back to it, right? And then, what do you mean? I've stepped over the line and now you're not going to listen to me anymore. There's nothing that should be overlooked. We should be able to talk about these things. All of that shit is abusive spouse talk. And all of my clients tell me this all the time, that they are so happy when they get away from that fucker. Right? It's, oh my goodness. He felt slimy to me at that moment when I'm just putting it all like, wow, this guy, he sounds pretty polished for an abuser. Like, I'm not saying that I think he's abused anyone. I just think he uses the same rhetoric as abusers in relationships, and in a way, I'm saying it's the Republican Party that has abused a certain part of the electorate who don't trust them anymore, right? And they're trying to, say, "Oh, baby, come on back," and they're not listening, and they're like, "Oh, well, you gotta listen, the rules say that you gotta listen, for the good of America, you gotta come back to me," and that's the problem that he's stating, just in very snake-tongued dialogue. I'm tired. Did I say I'm tired? I'm tired. But I thought that like the defining moment of that whole debate was Tim Walz just flatly asking JD Vance, did Trump lose that last election? Right? And that it was not a cunning maneuver. That you could see that punch telegraphed from a mile away. It was that question was coming. He was gonna ask him, right? No debate prep would have missed that as a possible question, right? But when JD Vance starts, hemming and hawing, well, you know, what about blah 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 blah, and Walz is like, that's a very damning not answer. That was like a really good left cross coming across, like when you were faking that telegraph punch. Like he just it wasn't genius, but it landed, and I think it wasn't that big, but if anyone was being drawn in by JD Vance saying, "Oh, baby, it's okay that I hurt you. Come on back. Come on back to the Republican Party." That one punch might have been enough to jar people and to going like, "Wait a second, no. This guy is still part of the Trump cult that has poisoned a party that I might have voted for before, but now I'm like, I think I'll wait till next time, when it's not so Trumpy, the whole debate ends, and then like the moment that I hoped for, that Walz would say that, like, there's a difference between fear and respect. Walz got close, and he said, Donald Trump makes people that I love afraid. And I thought that was a good turn of phrase. But I will say that JD Vance, having won the virtual coin toss and going last, nothing he said was memorable, but he looked stately. And a while back, I'd seen research on like who's going to win an election. Sometimes it comes down to which guy is taller, which guy has more color in his beard or in his hair, which guy looks like more stately, more presidential, right? The person who looks the part sometimes is what you need to win an election. And this is at all levels. Whoever looks like a stately presidential senatorial person. And I'll say Vance was well groomed and sounded slick. And yeah, that's all you guys are going to get from me on this debate, I think. I'm too tired. But I think my mail-in ballot will be here. They mail them out, I think, on October 11th. And then